fuel, give me fire, give me double shot of time.
Nestled an hour and 15 minutes northwest of Philadelphia sits the Alley Raceway, the home of the flattest 5 turns in fuel. Hi, hello, and good evening, race fans. Welcome to Reading, Pennsylvania. We bring you into tonight's coverage of race number 2, season number 4 of the NR2003 Fuel Sportsman Series, the Miller High Life 100. A pleasant good evening here. We are live from the Alley Raceway. Once again, everybody, welcome everybody to tonight's Intercast on the North American Sim Racing Network. My name is Trey Wright for the NASCAR. Caleb Rose will be joining us in the booth a little bit earlier or later on in the broadcast. And for the fans of old school NASCAR stop-motion races from all the way back in the late 2000s, you're in for a treat here tonight. Got a fun throwback here at the Alley Raceway. 5 flat turns as we get ready for 80 laps around a 3/4 of a mile banger of a racetrack here in Reading, Pennsylvania. As we get set to watch another fantastic battle of wits here as Apollo High, the designer of this track, right now leading the charge in that Subaru 100 machine. It's RJ Bishop, no surprise. He is the short track specialist. He is currently the top guy in terms of practice right now with about 3 minutes to go here in practice. 13 cars currently in the server right now with Apollo High, Dunlop-Prod running the second and third best laps. But you go back 2 weeks ago, or last week as Blake Warren is around on the back straightaway, but you go back to last Friday night's incredible race down south in Hotlanta, Georgia at the Atlanta Motor Speedway 2005 version. Apollo Hyde was leading with 3 laps to go, but Dunlop-Prod taking over a 9-second disadvantage, or completing 9-second disadvantage to make his way all the way up to that Subaru 100 Subaru. Pass Apollo Hyde, get the win in race number 1 of the 12 race slate. Race number 2 kicked off here, and like you can see from our aerial shot, this is a little bit of an oblong racetrack. You're going to see it there on the other side. 5 turns here at the Alley, and all of them banked at 10 degrees. You can see at turn number 3, or turn number 3 is going to be a little bit problematic here tonight. You can see that third turn over yonder in the distance. Actually, I think we got 6 turns, if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess he technically got 4 turns. I guess 6 if you want to be specific. But yeah, I guess you technically got 4 turns if you count turn number 1, and then the 2 hairpins on either end of the speedway as a single turn. But other than that, it is a very fun looking racetrack as we got 2 minutes to go here before we'll get things underway for qualifying. There's 2/3 of the Millennium Autosport camp all nosed together with Kenny Campos right behind them in car number 17. Campos right now running in 7th of the 13 cars in the server right now. Focus Auto has dropped back a little bit, and we're going to be seeing a lot of rear end wheel hopping out of this track, just given how narrow and flat corners we have got here. Zemi Schizzato, as Connor Edwards blow on by. Connor looking for the Ross Chastain move. We actually have 14 cars in the server. Rafaela Sorensen has yet to put a lap down. Teammate to Emi Schizzato in the RA Racing Camp. The REM Racing Camp, the Rafaela Emi Motorsports camp. For those 2 drivers, still waiting to see that 09 come out on track here. But again, you look at the analysis. We got 80 laps, equating about 100 kilometers. And it's a 3/4 of a mile bent oval No, I'm not too good at math, so that's why we initially said that there were 5 turns on the track. Realistically, there's 6, but realistically, there's 4 as well. But you look at that banking down the middle part of your race analysis, only 10 degrees. And the other thing that makes this track interesting, a pit road limit of 70 miles an hour. Back when this track was ran with the slower league, Campos and Rich Roy both into the outside wall, but we're going to be seeing these guys being able to make this race on a single stop. On about 58 to 62 laps on a full tank of gas, but these guys getting into the tire runs, pretty deep. We might see them come down maybe a little bit before that. The tire wear isn't going to be as aggressive as we thought it was going to be at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And again, you take a look at the track map itself. You got that 90-degree turn 1, the 180-degree hairpin of turn 2. Then you got another 90-degree, a right-hander in turn number 3. And then you got another hairpin in turn 4. Well, Rich Roy is into the grandstands as a Millennium Autosport trio has taken each other out. I don't think there's any other way to bring us back here into the qualifying session in just a couple of moments. But we are in for a fun one. We always are, and first and foremost, we would like to thank everybody for coming into tonight's broadcast and all of our broadcasts of the Fuel Racing League, both the Grand National Division, which that championship battle coming right down to the wire between Apollo Hyde and Vincenzo Focusato, as well as the fun shenanigans that we've got here. Not really shenanigans, I would say, but overall just a very, very fun amount of racing here in the Fuel Sportsman Series. We're in for a good one tonight as cars are out on track for qualifying, all 14 of them in the server out here in Q. And we will go ahead and take you down into the qualifying orders here in just a couple moments' time. So everybody will put down their opening lap of qualifying here in just a couple of moments. Everybody getting ready to go. Just reading the chat log. It's always a blast reading the chat log, seeing everything, and it is always a blast to be here for the Fuel Sportsman Series, especially at all of these fun and creative tracks. And during happy hour, we'll go over everything in a moment, but overall, plenty of fun tracks. We'll go over the remaining schedule as Dunlop-Rod, top of the charts in qualifying, a 32.97 compared to Kenny Campos, and now Paulo Hyde jumps to the top of the board with a 32.84 compared to LaProd's 32.97. So that'll be an interesting tidbit there, as we got about 120 to go here in qualifying. Hyde still top of the charts. How about Crystal Bennett, a 33.079. Third fastest car in Q. RJ Bishop, a 33.16. You go back to the race on the Daytona International Speedway back straightaway a couple weeks ago on the Grand National side of things. We know that he is exceptionally well on these flat tracks with virtually no banking. And he's going to right now start this race in 4th. Again, you go back to that race, which was nothing short of a blast. Daytona about 3 weeks ago at this point. That was fun. Of course, Crystal Bennett, a short track expert as well.
User was moved
and now we got Caleb Rose here in the broadcast booth. Caleb, I don't know if you got any prior knowledge of this track, but it looks very fun. A throwback to the days of old NASCAR stop-motions. We are in for a fun one here tonight.
Hello?
You got a copy of us?
Hey, we got a copy. All right, there we go.
Alrighty, so there we go. But we were I don't know if you heard me earlier, but we've got a fantastic race here tonight, a fantastic track here at the Alley. And Caleb, it's fun to see how these guys race these differing tracks here, especially in the sportsman level. But you go back to just the origins of this track from one of the more popular stop motions all the way back in 2008. It's going to be fun to see how these guys are able to race this track.
Yeah, this track is definitely one that caught my attention. This is really quite the interesting one. Like you're talking about, it's really interesting to see all the different kinds of tracks we have here in the series, but a lot of different tracks to test the capabilities of these drivers. And I'm sure this one's probably going to test some capabilities tonight. Very narrow track, very windy road course. Here is the Alley Raceway, and I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out. I think you put it best. It seems like a track that you've seen in old NASCAR Stop-Motion series, so I think we're definitely in for a fun race tonight. And I'm excited to see how it turns out. Apologies for my late entrance, but I'm excited.
I'm excited as well. You go back to, you know, that stop motion from 2008, the Miller High Life 400 from Brown Door 1986. You want to know how it was a good stop motion all the way back in the day, Caleb? Brock Beard from NASCAR himself commented on what an incredible stop motion it was 18 or 17 years ago. That's how you know it was a banger of a stop motion. That's how you know it was a banger of a track. And, of course, Apollo Hyde with the wizardry that she has got in terms of creating some epic tracks that we're going to see all season long and that we've been able to have the privilege of showcasing here on the North American Sim Racing Network. It's going to be fun to see how these cars are just able to race a track that was intentionally made to be a stop-motion track. And they're like, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to throw NR cars out on here and just show you how narrow of a course this is. And it's just going to be nothing but a great time. Good old-fashioned short track racing. It is an oblong version of the Martinsville Speedway with just a giant right-hander in the middle in turn number 3. And we are so excited to bring you guys the action here on the NASRN.
Almost looks like something you see in like NASCAR Unleashed or something, or NASCAR Rumble. Yeah, it looks like Martinsville, and then just makes that drastic left-hand turn there off of what would look like, I guess, Martinsville Turn 2. Definitely quite the intriguing track we got here, and it's going to make this all the more exciting here tonight.
Well, based on everything that we've seen, and you know what, I've been testing a little bit with the offline version of this track, making some tweaks. We might see that in season number 2 of the Loves American Truck Series coming up this fall.
Oh boy.
You think 13 cars out here for on NR is going to be a lot. Just imagine 42 race trucks out here. That's going to be a blast. But taking a look at your starting lineup, you got Apollo Hyde and Dunlaprod on the front row. No surprise to see those two firing at each other once again. Crystal Bennett in that Irwin Tools 84. It's going to be in that third spot here for Q. And then RJ Bishop and Vincenzo Focasato rounding out the top 5 in qualifying. Ike Durbin is going to round out the starting 6 in the row number 3. Emmy Schizzato and Grant Warren will be in row 4. Kenny Campos and Connor Edwards will be row 5. Rich Roy and Keon Daly making his season debut in that Cinnabon number 94 machine. Trying to find him out on track, and there he is in that Dodge. They'll be in row number 6, and Blake Warren will round out the 13 cars. That'll be in the server right now. I didn't see Rafaela Sorensen put down a Q lap, so it looks like we're just going to be having 13 cars here tonight. But Caleb, you go back to last week's race where tire wear was the absolute end-all, be-all in that win for Dunlaprod. You go here 1 week later where tire wear is going to be the end-all, be-all once again. But overall, it is just a much, much, much more different discipline style of racing. You're essentially driving on a road course. As hey, Rich Roy said, hey, you know what? This is essentially a road course. With how flat this is, how technical this is, how hard are these drivers going to be wheeling around here tonight for 80 laps?
Yeah, I'd say these tires are probably going to be screaming out for help at a racetrack like this. Has very tight corners, very flat corners as well. Pretty much just about nails the characteristic for a road course, and especially with how tight these corners are, to put a lot of pressure on those tires to get the car rotated. So that tire wear, I think, definitely going to play into a huge factor here tonight, and managing your tires is something you want to try and work on if you do want to try and set yourself up in a position to try and go for it late in the run. But it'll be interesting to see how all that shakes out, and we'll have to see who can manage their tires the best here tonight. But it'll be a fun one. I'd definitely look out for guys like Apollo Hyde, Dunlaprod. They've shown that they are fast and can manage their tires well. It's time to see if we potentially see them up front here tonight as well.
Yeah, and especially for Apollo Hyde, as she's not on track out just yet. No, there's a lot of dark blue cars here tonight that are going to be a little bit difficult for us to decipher, but you go back, you know, it has been about, what, over a month since Apollo Hyde has won. You got to go back to February 18th of Atlanta. It's been 44 days since we've seen Apollo Hyde go to victory lane here in the Fuel Racing League across both the Grand National Series and the Sportsman division. You know, it's just been a lot of really good talent in the Grand National division. Guys like RJ Bishop and that 48 machine, of course, we're talking about a little bit earlier in the broadcast how well he is going to be here at a flat track like this, qualifying in that 4th spot. So he'll be starting on the outside, a little bit of adversity early on, but could catch a couple of quick cautions. We know how well he is on conserving his rubber. RJ is going to be my personal pick for the race here tonight, but again, for Apollo, she is hungry to try to get a win, especially in the series that she sanctions, especially at a track that she designed herself. She knows every little nook and cranny of this, the Alley Raceway. Expect her and RJ. We'll throw Dunn in there as well. And, you know, we'll throw Crystal Bennett. We'll throw everybody in the top 4. Crystal Bennett, going to be a dark horse to watch out for. She's been really good. Just tire wear, that's a little bit of a question mark for me in terms of Crystal, Caleb. But overall, got a lot of talent. We've got a lot of cars. And, of course, everybody's on equal ratings. So everybody's got an equal amount of chance to try to get this dub here tonight. What are your expectations here with 3 minutes to go in happy hour before we'll thunder things off here at the alleyway?
Yeah, like I said, I think, like you said, I think we definitely got a lot of strong contenders here tonight. Of course, that's for much you got Apollo Hyde, Dylan LaPrade. We know those two are absolute threats to win week in and week out. RJ Bishop's been kind of on a tear as of late in that 48. Yeah, watch out for him. And Crystal Bennett, you know, she's a solid driver as well, so she could definitely be up there in the mix as well. But you've never really seen a race at this track and don't really know what's going to happen, so the parity could definitely be pretty high at a track such as this. But so regardless of the fact, it's going to be exciting to see who does get it done. But honestly, my personal pick would probably be the 100 of Apollo Hyde. I think that's the car we're really going to want to watch out for here tonight. As you mentioned, designed this track, and I think this track really suits her skill set. So I'd definitely be watching out for that 100 here tonight as we watch the 100 send the 74 of LaPrade into the stands.
Well, that's the second car we've had out of the ballpark tonight, as Dunn is, I don't know where he's going. He's trying to go for a snow cone out of the hot dogs, or he's trying to go for a snow cone or something like that. We got 2 minutes to go in happy hour. Dunn is just Lamar 55ing his way onto the outside of the track, and yeah, that's going to kill that 74 car. Never a dull moment, especially in happy hour here in the Sportsman division, and just the Fuel Racing League in general. And again, if you're watching this for the first time, you want to join in on the Fuel Racing League, link for the Discord server down in the description box below. Here for the Fuel Racing League, all levels of talent are welcome, all levels of skill are welcome here with the Fuel Racing League, with both the Grand National and the Sportsman divisions running year long. And of course, got the Super Speedway Series, and I think the King of the Road might be coming back soon. Don't quote me on that, but I would love to see the King of the Road, the Road Course Challenges, come back. As Kenny Campos goes for a wild ride, nearly goes into some campers, and I think we're just about ready to get things going. I think we need to get these guys situated. We got RJ Bishop doing a half-wall ollie down the pit lane. And again, Caleb, we got pit lane, especially under green, is going to be insane because the pit road speed here at the alley, 70 miles an hour. It is essentially an old version of NASCAR before pit road speeds were initiated. So we're going to be seeing high speeds on the pit lane, especially if we get green flag pit stops. Everybody is going to be pushing their cars to the very limit, especially going around the pit wall in turn number 1. You go 70 mile an hour through there, you could definitely destroy your race car. It's just going to be another wrinkle in a race that is going to be as wrinkly as a prune, but we couldn't ask for anything better here tonight.
We got a lot of factors here with a track like this heading into this race, and I think it's definitely going to make for quite the night of racing here in the Sportsman Series.
Well, especially since you take a look at our upcoming schedule, we're off for the next 3 weeks after tonight as the races at Nazareth, Charlotte, and Fuji as Blake Warren goes into the grandstand, so that's nice. Those 3 races will not be broadcasted here on the NASRN. We'll pick back up in race number 6 at the Albuquerque Speedway, a little bit of a super speedway action out in ABQ. And after that, the next races we'll have broadcasted will be at the Talladega Super Speedway, Watkins Glen International, and of course up in Brooklyn, Michigan at the Michigan International Speedway. The other tracks, or the other races in between those, are going to be Chicagoland, IRP, and Pikes Peak. Not have the coverage of those, although, well, I think Dunlapra just joined the Artemis space program up into the air. God, you got to love netcode, and you got to love us getting things going here in just a couple of moments as we'll send things down trackside.
Drivers,
the most famous words in motorsports, fire the engines for race number 2 of Season 4 of the Sportsman Series season, the Miller High Life 100 from the Alley Raceway.
Drivers, stop!
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me double shot and down.
Well, it's essentially going to be a standing start as everybody's going to get settled off of turn number 4. Apollo Hyde and Dunlapra leading the field immediately. Through the green flag here in just a couple of moments. Caleb, it's ready to buckle down and get ready to go as we're through the restart zone. Green flag out and away. Let's roll at the alleyway.
Boogity, boogity, boogity.
You could not ask for a better start off of turn number 1 for Dunlapra. Immediately he got Hyde jumping down to the inside. Still side by side for that second spot. Laprade going a little bit up the racetrack in the 74. Here they are down the back straightaway into turn number 3. The fearsome right-hander Laprade has got the inside. A little bit wide off of the corner, but everybody gets to the right-hander in time. No, we do not. We got a caution flag immediately off of the gun, our first of the night, and if that is not a sign of things to potentially come here, Caleb, oh boy.
Well, let's see if that's maybe a sign of things to come, but yeah, immediate caution, definitely not the best sign, as that's quite a bit of rear-end damage there to the 33 Grant Warren. Destroying the 29, probably caught up in that as well.
Yeah, not the best starts there for Grant Warren. Ran fairly well at the race at Rockingham on Wednesday night. Same thing with Rich Roy as he and Connor Edwards got dusted up together. Doesn't look like anybody is going to come down the pit lane for the opening time here tonight, so this probably happened just right off of the initial start. We'll take a look at what happened with those two. As again, this is essentially a standing start for these guys. And Grant just a little bit of a logjam out of turn number 1 and around when everybody, that got started when Connor Edwards got a little bit into the back end of the 33, and well, everybody kind of just got jammed up like a toilet at Taco Bell, and unfortunately that's going to be a lot of rear end damage on that Quaker State Menards Ford Mustang of Grant. We'll take another look at it here, but not the start to the race that you want here, Caleb, with a lot of rear end damage. That's going to be affecting how the rear of the car is going to turn. And lap number 1, corner number 1, already a lot of damage on that 33 car.
The start to the race, there, really tough race there, especially for everyone, like you said, going to probably be damage for the rest of the race. But this strategy here is alongside of the 3329, a couple of the cars down pit lane, probably just tires making some adjustments and everything. Let's see how that ends up shaking out, but see how the rest of the race ends up shaking out. Hopefully, caution like this is better than things come.
So we got a couple of cars coming down the pit lane. Roy, Warren, and Schizzato, and RJ Bishop is going to come down and put some for Mr. Feelgoods on that Ally Ford Taurus. Interesting to see the Taurus versus Thunderbird discrepancy here for a lot of these drivers. You got the Warren Wentz Racing guys both running the Thunderbirds, and you got the Taurus being ran by Connor Edwards and pretty much the rest of the field here. Got that Taurus, the 84 Irwin Tools car. Crystal Bennett down into the pit area, and it looks like we're going to remain under the caution flag a little bit longer here. Again, this is a short track, under a mile long, so the cautions are going to be a little bit more elongated than you would typically see. But Dunlop has led all 4 laps so far this evening, and that just came off of that magnificent start to the race we saw on the outside for Laprade. And Apollo was just trying to cut right back down to the inside, but couldn't quite get the hammer down. And how about Vincenzo Focusato, already +2? Once we get back to the gears here in just a couple of moments, Caleb.
We do get definitely be an interesting restart. Everybody's single filed out now this time around, so see if that changes anything here as we head to this restart.
We'll get to the restart this next time by, hopefully. And while we do so, we'll go ahead and get you a replay of the initial start of this race and just how much of a launch Laprade got off of the initial start. You know, you look here on the outside, everybody's just trying to get their tires warmed up, and he just jumped. As I think Apollo may have spun the tires a little bit on the start, and you go back to the accident back in here, just wore into the outside wall. Keon Daly also got a little bit jammed up in there too, so that's going to be a little bit of front end damage on that Cinnabon Dodge. Dream of a start for Dunn, looking to go 2 for 2. And hopefully for him, he's not going to have to drive another incredible comeback. He's just looking to go wire to wire here on the short course, but everybody is going to be lined up there behind Laprade. We're going to be doing single file restarts by the looks of it here tonight. So the choose cone not in effect by the looks of things, but that's really going to help out Laprade and Hyde. All these guys back in here, and that is not what RJ Bishop wanted to see either, but going back through the restart zone, Laprade, Hyde, Focusato, Durbin, and Kenny Campos, your top 5. Green flag back out in the air. See if we can get a green flag lap underway here at the alley. Caleb into the outside wall goes like Durbin. And he's going to lose a couple of spots. Campos and Daly down to the inside. Blake Warren slideways through turn number 2.
Ooh,
and he's going to lose a lot of spots. He's in the grass, and both Warren brothers towards the back end of the field, and a bad start to the race for both of them. Back to the front, Laprade still driving that 74 car out and away from everybody else. Focusato slotting back in there in that 3rd spot. How about Kenny Campos? We got one car around. It's Rich Roy that bring out the caution flag. It will. 2 caution flags in the span of 7 laps, and hey, we got a green flag lap in there, Caleb, but not a good start to the race for Rich Roy. He's 2 for 2, getting caught up in a couple of accidents here tonight, and he'll go to the tail end of the field in that 29. How about RJ Bishop moving his way up a couple of spots off the initial start there? Drop back significantly. He restarted in 11th. He's already up to 7th in that Ally Taurus, but already immediately back under a 2nd yellow flag, and Dunlop is going to lead a couple more laps under his belt here, Caleb. Not the start that we were looking for compared to what we saw in a caution-free race at Atlanta. And already we've got our opening 2 cautions of the season within the opening 10 laps here at the alley.
Potentially expecting a bit of a chaotic race here tonight, and yeah, so far definitely proving that. Did get a green flag lap in there, which is nice, but unfortunate break there for the 29 of Rich Roy. Looks like he might have gone around off the front bumper of somebody. I don't know who that might have been, but yeah, 29 been involved in both accidents so far this race. Definitely not the start that he wanted.
We'll take a look at Couple cars coming down the pit lane, moving faster than the pace car. Again, remember, pit road speed here at the alley, 70 miles an hour, and that proved to nick the 86 in the rear bumper a little bit there for Ike Durbin, overshot his pit stall. That's going to put him relatively on par pit stop-wise with RJ Bishop. RJ's crew getting the job done a little bit faster there, and it looks like he's going to come off of the pit lane first ahead of Ike Durbin. Slow out of the pits box there for the 86. He's going to lose 2 spots on the pit lane. But everybody, the top 5 staying out here. We'll go ahead and take a look at what happened to put us under our second yellow flag of the night here at the alley. And it looks like Crystal Bennett a little too hot going into turn number 1. Just a little love tap on that Kodak 29. Spun around to Rich Roy, and fortunately for Blake Warren, Rich saw the 12 car out of his side there, and he was able to just put the hammer down a little bit there. He was able to just hold on a little bit there and not create an even bigger issue. We'll take one more look at it here. So a little bump and run going wrong in the corner by the looks of it.
You know how goofy these online physics can be, and slight contact can definitely be a little bit more dangerous.
Definitely can. Tough break there for Rich. But it's going to give Dunlapron a couple more laps led. So we'll go back to the action here in just a couple of moments. And here we are. Again, my apologies. Single file restart to the norm here in the Sportsman Series. Again, it's been about 6 months since we've had a Sportsman Division race that had featured a caution flag, but here we are. Back through the gears we go. LaPrade, Hyde, Focusato, top 3 with Campos and Keon Daly in the top 5, and Focusato didn't get going whatsoever. Here comes Kenny Campos down to the inside. Focusato able to get the power down with a run on the outside, and now Keon Daly up to 4th. How about Connor Edwards in that Menard 02 car? Maytag, Nathan Buchanan throwback. One of your guys, the Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship, as Campos forced off for the track there. A little bit of blinkage there for the 02, and RJ Bishop trying to take advantage on the outside with that fresh rubber. He'll peek back inside the top 5 in that Allied Taurus. Back to the front, and LaPrade already beginning to check out of the Redden Motel. And he would love for this race to remain green, and would love this race to remain green as well. LaPrade. Again, everybody is running so tantalizingly close back there as we got more cars around.
It will not remain green.
Ike Durbin and Connor Edwards, we were just talking about how good Connor was running in the 02. And he has gone around and put us under our 3rd caution flag of the night already, with 67 laps to go here in the Miller High Life 100. A little bit of stop and start here, as we'd really become accustomed to in the opening 15 laps, and hopefully it's just everybody. It's the narrow track first race here jitters. Most everybody in the server has not ran here. Of course, Crystal Bennett, Apollo Hyde, and I think RJ Bishop and Keon Daly may have been the drivers that have had a previous run here at the alley. Doesn't look like anybody will come down the pit lane besides Edwards in that 02. He will limber that car around. Looks like Ike will stay out for the time being. And he will come down the pit lane as well. We'll take a look at what happened with those 2 guys getting turned up out of turn 2. As Connor was just blinking in and out as Ike, another love tap, and that's going to jam up there with 33 of Grant Warren. And again, you talk about these online physics here in NR. They are not really forgiving. We see it a lot in practice and happy hour, which is, slight contact with some drivers just completely turns them around. And there's incidental contact, I think just a little bit too much cookage in the corner there for Ike. Sending a little too deep, and it was a combination of that and Connor Edwards just tapping the brakes a little too hard, moving underneath the Vemi-Schizzato. No harm, no foul, other than putting us back under the caution flag. And putting Connor Edwards all the way into the boondocks.
And especially with just the narrow nature of this track, definitely makes keeping off of other cars a bit more challenging than, of course, a wider racetrack. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the rest of this race ends up playing out with that in mind. But I have to see if they can keep it clean. Like I said, hopefully it is just kind of jitters from being from a lot of these guys racing this track for the first time. But definitely potentially expect it to go cleaner as the race does go along. If we can get a green flag running, that would definitely be very nice to see. But we'll have to see if it all ends up shaking out. But it's definitely been quite an interesting race here so far throughout these first couple laps here from the alley.
Well, the longest green flag run we've had so far tonight has been 6 laps. Again, we've only ran 16. So about half the race has been run under the caution flag. Of course, that is about as small of a sample size as you can get here. But it's going to be another opportunity on these relatively, we're about a third of the way through this tire run here. But it's going to be another chance for Hyde to try to close up on that 74 car. Here we go. Green flag back out of the air on lap 17. Blake Warren spinning the tires in the back there in that body armor 12 car. Everybody trying to take advantage of the differing tire strategies, trying to duck down to the inside of one another. You got RJ Bishop back underneath the Keon Daly. Daly on the outside. RJ got the power down on the outside, and now Kenny Campos up into that third spot. He gets around Focusato. A little wide through the corner. Same thing with Bishop. He's around Daly. Now he'll set his sights on the 37 of Focusato. And Emi Schizzato inside the top 5 for the opening time tonight. And now Kenny Campos under fire from Focusato. Make that Schizzato up inside the top 6-pack, I should say. So RJ Bishop inside the top 5 once again in that Ally 48. Campos in that third spot right now as the top 2 pulling away from the rest of the pack. It is a much better run here this time around for Hyde. She's keeping it relatively within distance of that 74 of LaPrade. So those two, a little game of cat and mouse, nearly spinning around there was the 97 of Schizzato. She's got the 84 Crystal Bennett right behind her. It's like Durbin half spin off of turn numbers 4. He's able to hold on to it for the time being with Rich Roy down to the outside of him with the Millennium Autosport trio. Currently broken up throughout the field. I'm thinking Apollo is going to be running the exact opposite strategy that we saw from a week ago, Caleb. Is trying to stay out a little bit longer than what Dunn LaPrade is going to do. You know, these guys, it's just going to be a really big game of chicken between these top 2 guys if this race goes green. Whether or not, you know, when they come down the pit lane, when they're going to take tires for their opening time. Again, the top 4 cars have yet to make a pit stop tonight. It's just going to be a game of who blinks first between the 74 and the 100 on who's going to come down the pit lane. Based on what we saw last week, I don't think there's going to be a set-in-stone strategy for either of these guys. But again, it's just going to depend on how the race goes. But got a pretty good green flag run as of right now. But you got a lot of cars bottle corked with each other. You got Schizzato and Bishop banging fenders down the front straightaway out of turn 4.
Still definitely seeing a bit of trading paint here as Schizzato and RJ Bishop there go at it for the 5th position. Bishop going to hang on here for the time being. And of course, it's Schizzato wide. Crystal Bennett looking to try and take advantage as ahead of them. Focusato continuing to try and work on Kenny Campos. Campos doing a good job right now.
On the caution flag is out.
3rd position as back under yellow. It's like Rich Roy in the 29. Facing the wrong way.
Yeah, that is not the way that you want to be pointed in the direction there, Caleb. And he has not had a good night so far. Already caught up in 3 different accidents. This time, our first accident through the right-hander here for caution number 4 of the evening. Looks like Keon Daly. He's got a pretty beat-up rear end of that Cinnabon car. As everybody is going to race back, the pace car going to catch up to the rest of the field. There it goes. And I believe now that we're 23 laps into this run, I wouldn't really be surprised to see LaPrade and Hyde come down the pit lane, because now we're within that window. You got 58 to go. And you take a look at your race analysis, these guys can do about 58 to 62, so they're well within the window to make it home from here if they come down the pit lane to their choosing. And pretty much everybody, yeah, looks like it's going to be feeding time on the pit area. Oop, RJ Bishop is going to stay out.
And Durbin, Blake Warner, I believe some guys have already pitted up to this point.
I think for them, they're not going to be able to make it to the end. This is where the window will officially open, but LaPrade is going to lead a handful of drivers, pretty much the entire field outside of 3 drivers, down into the pit area. A good pit stop placement there for LaPrade. Oh, Schizotto a little trouble getting into her pit box. 4 Goodyear tires going all the way around that 74 car with ease. And he'll be out and away. First off for the pit lane. Kenny Campos, 3rd out of the pit area. Focusato is going to drop back a little bit more. How about Crystal Bennett moving up from 9th to 4th? Coming out of the pit area. We had 3 cars that stayed out, and that's really going to jumble things up a little bit here. But Rich Roy going around once again, and it has not been a great start to the race for that Kodak 29 team. As he and Keon Daly will battling for 11th. This last time by, we'll take a look at what happened. I think Keon may have jumped on the brakes a little bit. Just a little tappage. He got punted around, and Connor Edwards joins the fun as well. So that's going to be the third incident of the night that Connor Edwards is involved in, ironically, with the 29 once again. Certainly not what you want. And get another multi-car incident, puts us under the caution flag for the 4th time tonight. We'll get one more look at it here, following from the helicopter cam. Little accidental puntage there out of Rich, and he gets punted himself. Well, we'll rack him up and do it once again here, Caleb.
Rack them, stack them back up, we will. Like Durbin, Blake Warren going to be leading us back to the green here. On a separate strategy from all the guys behind him. Have to see what they can do here on this restart.
RJ Bishop came back down the pit lane, and immediately LaPrade thunders his way underneath of Blake Warren. Warren in the outside wall, turns the 100. Is she able to save it? Down the track they go, and the caution flag immediately back out. And it involves the dominant second-place car of the night as Blake Warren and Apollo Hyde welded on top of one another for a brief moment. Caution number 5 on the speedway. And that's going to throw a monkey wrench into things.
You don't say. My goodness, that was... That was a restart of all time, right? Tough break there for Apollo Hyde. I think it was Blake Warren there that went wide there, got in the outside wall, ricocheted back down into the 100 car. Man. And
that is just an unfortunate situation there for both of those drivers. And that's the exact same thing we saw out of Grant Warren on the start of the race, where it's a little too wide going through the corner, and well, the car behind you. LaPrade was able to get on by, but Hyde just sliding up the racetrack too much. And well, that's going to give a little bit more track position there to Durbin. But we'll go ahead and see. We'll take another look at what happened, and that was just unfortunate there as you'll watch this 12 car, overcooks the corner, goes in the outside wall. He bounced back up the track, and there was just no room for Apollo to go. And she was just stuck on that 12 machine. She was just trying to get off, and she's just going to drop like a stone in the running order here. We'll go on board here with Blake Warren for this next replay, but that is unfortunate in a word. We'll go right from when the green flag dropped because LaPrade immediately booked it down on the inside. right from the restart. He was banging on the back bumper of the 86, but you got Laprade immediately going down to the inside. Overshoots the track, bounces back down, and, well, there's that 100 Subaru. Trying aggressively to move off of that 12 machine, and it's going to be another last to first challenge here. Unfortunately for her, but it's the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately, for a lot of these drivers, but still plenty of time to go in this race, Caleb. We are still very far from over, but Ike Durbin is going to surrender to some track position in that 86 car, and, well, Dunn Laprade's only competition of the evening so far is going to be marred towards the back end of the field. Again, single file restarts, the name of the game in the Sportsman Series. Dunn is just going to try to get out of Dodge here and hoping these next 50 laps will go green. And it looks like we're going to get, lights are off on the pace car. So it looks like we will be going green this next time by, is Laprade looking to go 2 for 2 here in the Sportsman Series. But you cannot count out Kenny Campos and that Darrell Waltrip 50th anniversary of NASCAR throwback in that Chevy Monte Carlo, that Tim Flock throwback, I should say, that was driven by Darrell Waltrip back in 1998. Classic looking car, and you can't count out Buddy Campos. Best that we've ever seen him run here in the Fuel Racing League, up in that second spot. I know he would absolutely love to get a podium finish. We would love to interview him post-race, and of course Vincenzo Focusato back inside the podium. Mentioned how Crystal Bennett was going to be one of those dark horses. She's up to 4th in the 84. Still plenty of meat on the bone. Get this race restarted. 30 laps in the books, 50 laps to go. Green flag back out of the air. Pretty good restart for Laprade. Pretty good restart for Campos as well. And Rich Roy nearly getting turned off of turn number 1. Tina RJ Bishop got squared off a little bit together. As Apollo Hyde, I think she came back down the pit lane in the 100, so she's going to be very behind this grid. That's going to be a little bit of an uh-oh for her, as she is going to be, she's all the way off the tail end of the grid. So she's gonna, if this race does go green, that's, again, we're going to really play in the wheelhouse of that 74 car, Caleb, because not only are you trying to cut your way through the rest of the pack, but you're going to have to be using up a lot of your rubber. And Laprade has already opened himself up to a 1.13 second lead over Campos. And they got a pretty good battle for third brewing here between the 84 and the 37. You got Crystal going underneath of the 37. Trying to make the high lane work through turn 4. Schizato right at her 6 o'clock. And the caution flag is back out once again. And RJ Bishop has spun around along with Blake Warren by the looks of it. Trying to get to the halfway point of this race with 48 to go, and already 6 cautions are going to be in the books here tonight at the alley. And this will be interesting whether or not we're going to see guys come down the pit lane or not. And they all came down 10 laps ago. So they've got 10 laps on their tires. We'll see if anybody will indulge. It looks like Keon Daly will, and same thing with Emi Schizato. Those two got to be careful not to run into each other coming down the pit lane. Of course, RJ Bishop, who was the primary cause of that accident. Keon trying to keep it under 70 miles an hour. Again, you know, it's just tail end of the longest line, which is only 13 cars. If you speed, so it's not the worst thing in the world if you come down the pit lane, and if you speed, you go above the 70 miles an hour. But you saw on the side of your top end of your screen, Keon missed his pit stall anyway. So, whatever.
Sure, probably been happy to see that caution flag come out. It was honestly kind of looking like a Lewis Hamilton Brazil 2021 situation, except for the leading car, probably in this comparison, Big Max Verstappen with a clean car instead of Esteban Ocon.
That was actually Keon Daly who was the one that caused that accident. He got loose out of turn number 3 and, well, nowhere to go for R.J. Bishop. Take another look at it here. We'll see what R.J. saw out of his rear view or his initial vantage point in that 48 machine. As Keon going around in that Cinnabon Dodge. Trying to wrangle free cam down together. It's going wild here. Go on board. Keon just gets a little bit loose out in front and turns that Ally car head on into the wall. Certainly not what you want to see out in front of you as a car braking sideways, and unfortunately that's what we saw. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be the third accident that R.J. Bishop is going to get caught up in here. Well, 28 laps led for Dunlop-Rod will be 29 this next time by, and the green flag back out in the air, and here we go. And how about Kenny Campos with a little bit of a run down to the inside, not able to get the power down. Like you mentioned, Apollo Hyde back up with all these drivers. Thought about making it 3 wide underneath the 12 in the O2. I wouldn't recommend going 3 wide here at the alley. These guys can barely do 2 wide. Like Durbin way out of shape in the 86. He's able to hold on. That means Schizzato getting turned. Will that bring out the caution flag? It will not. It looks like she just wheel hopped it out of 3. Chaos off for the restart once again. And everybody braking sideways. Crystal Bennett into the outside wall out of turn number 1. That's going to bring Focusato up to 3rd. I believe the caution flag back out once again. It is. I guess it was deemed that was a multi-car incident there for Schizzato. Under caution number 7. We're so tantalizingly close to the halfway point of this race, Kayla, but it has certainly been a slog so far tonight. Already 7 caution flags in the books. The latest involving the WeatherTech Taurus of Emi Schizzato in that 97 machine. It's been a fun one so far.
It's been quite the interesting, but quite the fun race. Like I said, I was looking forward to seeing how this track would race, and it's definitely proven to be quite the interesting venue, and definitely excited to see how the rest of this race goes, especially how the second half will go, considering we're pretty much just about at that point right now, so we'll have to see how it ends up shaking up, but it's been a fun race here so far.
Nobody's going to come down the pit lane other than Connor Edwards and a couple stragglers from the back. But, you know, it was just off of that initial restart, and Schizzato getting turned around. You know, we'll see. She got a little bit of a tap there from R.J. Bishop going through the corner. That all got started when Ike Durbin was braking sideways, and was there a little bit of contact from the O2? It looked like, yep, there was. Connor Edwards getting into the quarter panel of that 97 car, and it looked like that was enough to garner a multi. We're going to see if there was anything else. Taking a look at a flagman Fred. That was indeed caused the caution, and it was, so... And Schizzato brings out caution number 7 after getting a little bit of assist there from the Maytag 02. Well, we'll re-rack things once again as R.J. Bishop and Ike Durbin get a little too friendly there. I'm surprised Ike isn't running his Kodak car, the yellow and purple Kodak car for Millennium Autosports. Got the red, the 29 of Rich Roy, he's up inside 6. He's one position away from getting inside the top 5. Ike's currently caboosed by the 33 of Grant Warren, excuse me. Glad to see Grant up at the top end of the show here in the bottom end of the top 5. But of course, everybody has been chasing that rear end of that Chester's Family Market Monte Carlo of Dunlop-Rod. He's been the dominant car so far tonight, and everybody has just been trying to race for second. And ultimately was a race for third until Apollo Hyde got tied up on a restart crash with Blake Warren. She's been able to recover up to 7th right behind that 29 machine. But it'll be LaPrade who once again leads things back through the restart zone. Green flag back out in the air. And officially cue the Bon Jovi in this one. Cross flags were displayed. We're halfway home through this race. Focus Auto goes wide off of the corner. 40 laps into the books, 40 to go. Way up the racetrack goes the 37. Here comes Crystal Bennett down to the low side. Apollo Hyde back inside the top 5, putting the power down to the low side of the 29. And now around, big mess, big stack up in turn number 3. And that'll immediately bring the caution flag out once again. Heavy damage on that body armor Thunderbird of Blake Warren. RJ Bishop also in it as well. We didn't even go one lap again. We should have taken the initial start of that race where first corner, first lap, first caution, kind of gospel to the end there. But overall, once again under the caution flag. And Caleb, it took us until the halfway point of the race, but we were officially out of X caution graphics. Whether it's be the I need to start making caution graphics beyond the 7th caution flag.
There's probably more of those considering some of the races that we've had, but the second half going to start out with a bang here.
Boy.
And speaking of bangs, we've got a bit of a twist here. The Prod comes into the pits from the lead. A couple more cars going to come with them, but that's an interesting strategy call.
Well, you know what? We got 39 to go. And he's going to come down the pit lane for his money stop of the race. You know, I like this strategy. You're giving yourself a little bit extra tire wear, especially with the stop-and-go racing we've had here tonight. Giving yourself as much tire wear as you can, especially right on these restarts with how frequent they've been. I'm liking this strategy from Dunn. Again, you know, still plenty of time to go in this race. And Apollo, who crashed, what was that, the 5th caution flag of the night where she got twisted up with Blake Warren. She's already back up to 3rd. She can mathematically make it to the end, but LaPrade isn't as far back as you would think. Again, only 13 cars in this grid, and LaPrade is probably going to restart at around the 8th or 9th spot. But we had one heck of an accident to put us under our 8th caution flag of the night. We'll quickly see what happened right off of the green flag, and well, just right from the drop of the green flag, things just kind of went south here. This all got started, I'm pretty sure, with the 12 of Blake Warren. A little help, but he got just absolutely pounded there by the 97 of Schizzato, and RJ Bishop once again caught in the collateral. So that's going to put everybody a little bit behind the 8 ball. But how about Kenny Campos in that 17 machine? We talked about him earlier on tonight. That Tim Flock 1998 throwback car. He's going to have a pretty good chance here right off of the restart. But again, you got Apollo Hyde back inside that 3rd spot. You got Dunlop-Rod all the way back in 9th. He's going to have a little bit of a challenge to get back up here through the gears. Pace car down the pit lane. Here we go. Green flag back out of the air. A little bit of a jam up there. An accordion off of the restart. Edwards into the wall. He's able to keep it straight. And now Focusato playing a 2-front war there with Hyde right behind him and trying to get the heck out of here. Is Kenny Campos a little bit loose off of the corner there for the 17. Here comes a dive bomb out of the inside there for Focusato. Not quite able to get enough of a ledge, and that's going to bring him right back into the connection there of that 37 car, of that 100 car, I should say. And here comes Apollo down to the inside. Drag race going into turn number 1. Slideways, how about Grant Warren and Rich Roy battling for 5th? Roy into the outside wall. Meanwhile, Focusato still with the ledge. Go back in here. Dunlaprod making some headway as well. Good battles all over the track as Roy nearly going sideways. Here comes Focusato looking for the 2-for-1 Friday night special. Nearly had another car around, but we'd have a three-way battle for the race lead here coming around. 34 laps to go at the alleyway. No surprise, Dunlaprod's got the fastest lap of the night, a 32.96 here at the alley. 33 to go. Apollo Hyde up into second. Now she's nearly giving the chrome horn to that 17 machine. Down to the inside she goes.
He's trying to play defensive, but goes wide. Here comes Hyde.
Apollo Hyde, it's been 44 days since she's been to victory lane, the Fuel Racing lead. Kenny trying to say no, trying to get the run off of the corner. Apollo just has a little bit better tire wear, and Apollo Hyde once again trying to complete the last to first challenge.
Hey, look who's in fourth already.
That's no surprise. Dunlaprod already back inside the podium. He is running absolutely blistering laps, and he has got better tire wear than everybody else. He's going to go down underneath the compost for second, and he's got that 17 car clear. It's once again a battle for third. From 9th to 2nd, didn't take 9 laps once again, as I thought the caution flag was back out immediately. But now, you know, what a strategy call there for Laprade. You know, you might as well confirm you're able to make it to the end, give yourself a little bit more tire wear. And he's going to have a halfway decent shot on this 100 car, probably over these next couple of laps, Caleb, because again, Hyde has only come down the pit lane. She's come down twice, once to get repairs and then one other time after that. She's running a really good race. Kenny into the outside wall off of 4. That'll open the door for Crystal Bennett. RJ Bishop saying, hey, I'm still in the fight for this one, fighting for this top 5 here with Vincenzo Focusato. But now, on the other end of this cat and mouse chase here is Dunlaprod, right on the back end of the 100. Bishop into the outside wall off of turn number 2. It's not the first time we've seen these guys battle it out here at a technical racetrack. Got to go all the way back to CCIR at Cape Cod. These guys were going nose to tail, side by side, door slamming, and now a clean. How about that pass there for Laprade? Looking for the crossover on the other way is Hyde. She knows she's once again at a tire disadvantage to that 74 car. She's trying to plant it down low. Laprade is going to get the run off of the corner. And he will clear Apollo Hyde. Another crossover coming there on the inside.
Going to be on the outside here in the final corner, looking to maybe try and cross over again, but she got the power down.
She's trying to drive, use every...
To get the run. Oh, that's not going to work out. To the lead goes the prod.
Again, it's another tire wear discrepancy there between the 74 and the 100, and the caution flag is back out. Emmy Schizzato has gone the wrong direction. Keon Daly trying not to Stephen Light the 97 car. And with 29 laps to go, we are back under the caution flag right as Dunlaprade took the race lead. And now, if you're Apollo Hyde, do you come down the pit lane as well? It's just... Do you try and make sure you can make it to the end? Or do you try and stay out here with track position on older tires than pretty much everybody else, if I'm not mistaken? But again, if you're Dunlaprade, you're sitting back, you're thinking pretty right now. I don't know. It's just going to be a big question of if that we're going to find out the question of that here in the next 20 seconds when these guys come down the pits.
Find out and see. We saw how spiffy that 74 was on that fresh rubber, and he's going to dive into the pits again. In fact, everybody, I think, is going to dive into the pits.
Here we go. Feeding time with 27 to go. Everybody will come down the pit area here. And this will, in fact, be the money stop. And LaPrade down into his pit stall here.
3.
I imagine everybody's just going to be taking 4 tires. Does anybody try and get 2 here? Connor Edwards, he missed his pit stall. He's going to box in Rich Roy. That's going to be unfortunate for the 0-2. Quick drop of the jack for the 74. Crystal Bennett nearly taking that second spot away out of the pit lane from the 100 machine. But Don LaPrade wins the race off of the pit lane. Pretty much going to be a brand new race when we go back to their gears here with 25 laps to go. But before we do that, we'll take a look at what happened with Emmy Schizotto off of turn number 4, as looks like she was playing bumper cars there a little bit too hard with the 12 machine. Blake just gets into Emmy and hard into that inside wall, went the 97. And Connor Edwards, a little bit of contact there. Unfortunately, Emmy was able to get that thing ramrod straight right as Keon Daly was looking to do his best Alex Kennedy impression. No harm, no foul there, and LaPrade is going to win the race off the pit lane. But it will be 25 laps to go in this race, Caleb. That would be the longest green flag run we'd have today if this went 25 laps to the end. Do you see it happening, or how many caution flags do you see us getting here within the next 25 laps? I'm gonna set the line at 3.5. We'll go. I'll give you the first crack of the over/under.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm feeling the over on this one, honestly. They've kind of cleaned up a little bit as this race has gone along. Got a nice green flag run in there. Everyone is back on an equal playing field, though, with everybody coming on the pit lane. So we'll have to see how that factors into it. But have to see. Here we go.
Here we go. Everybody on equal footing. 25 laps to go at the alley. A great restart for LaPrade. RJ Bishop gets punted into the outside wall. 3 wide off of turn number 2. Don't see that every day here at the alley. Focusato underneath the 17. Those guys a little slideways out of the corner there in turn number 2. The top 3 pulling away from everybody else. How about Crystal Bennett making this a 3-horse race for the race lead? Bennett trying to find a ledge around Hyde. And all this happening in the rear view mirror of Don LaPrade. That's exactly what he wants to see. Ike Durbin down to the inside of Schizotto, not able to get the hammer down to the inside there, with still plenty of time to go in this race. And RJ Bishop, I think RJ is just looking for another caution flag to come out, because when he has not been turned around, again, he's got a little bit of damage on the passenger side of that 48, but he is rapidly closing in on the rest of these guys. Spinner out of turn number 3, it's Ike Durbin. And that will bring the caution flag out once again.
Parlay did not hit.
Well,
Man.
You did say over 3.5. It's been a rough night for Ike Durbin, that 86 car. Driving the scheme that he got his most recent win here in the Fuel Racing League in the Sportsman Series back at Augusta. Race number 2 of season number 3. In that 86 machine. It looks like we might be getting a quickie yellow here. No, we're not. Let's see if anybody will come down the pit lane. I doubt it, since everybody came down. Not sure who turned that 86 car around. We'll get a look at it here. And it's been a stop-and-go kind of night here at the alley, Caleb. I think our longest green flag run has been the ballpark of about 7 laps maybe, and it was Rich Roy that unfortunately punted that 86 car out of the way. Wheel hopped it going into 3 and right into the quarter pan. A little bit of a love tap there for his teammate. Not what you want if you're a Vincenzo Focusato, hearing 2 of your cars took each other out.
That's definitely not the most ideal situation, especially there for team owner Vincenzo Focusato. Really tough break there for Ike Durbin and Rich Roy. It's definitely not the best feeling when you accidentally make contact and get into your teammate.
Yeah, both those guys were running midway through the field. Roy, he's going to be in the back here with the end of the longest line penalty, so they'll land up 12th and 13th. All 13 cars in the grid. still in the race. Be 20 to go once we go back through the gears, but got Dunlaprod still the race leader, Apollo Hyde in second, and Crystal Bennett currently rounds out the podium, RJ Bishop in fourth, and Vincenzo Focasato. Caboose is the top five. Kenny Campos is sixth. Emi Schizzato recovering back into seventh. Grant Warren in eighth. Keon Daly runs ninth, and Blake Warren looking for a nice top 10 result in that 12 machine. Connor Edwards is 11th. Glad to see him running on the lead lap here in that Menards. Paul Menard throwback. Ike Durbin in 12th, and Rich Roy cabooses the field in 13th in that Kodak 29. Well, this time it'll be 20 laps to go here at the alley in what has been nothing short of typical short track racing. You know, this race was originally supposed to be 100 laps, Caleb. Fortunately, it was banged down to 80. We're on lap number 60. Pace car back down the pit lane. 20 laps to go at the alley, and Dunlaprod trying to lead them all here with a hungry Polo Hyde right behind him. Spinning the tires a little bit there on the restart was a 74. Just trying to shoot out like a rocket. Focasato up the racetrack, and Kenny Campos, he did not get going off of the restart whatsoever. He's going to fall back a ton. Schizzato, and Bennett and RJ Bishop around down the back straightaway, and the caution flag immediately out. The third and fourth place cars tangle out of turn number 2.
Oh, man. It's just keep on coming.
Lord have mercy. As Crystal Bennett and RJ Bishop, a couple of Ford Tauruses knocking each other around. The 84 and the 48, the inverse of both each other, knocking each other around. And cautions breed cautions, and they might have a little bit of Cialis here in the water at the alley, because cautions have been active tonight. 11 caution flags on the evening. And it's just short track racing on a narrow racetrack. Nowhere to go, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And actually, nope, Focasato is going to stay out, so everybody's going to stay out here.
Looks like we have
Take a look at what happened off of that restart. And the 48 and the 84, a couple of blue ovals. Oh, that got started. Crystal just wheel hopped. She just got really loose coming out of turn 2. And just nowhere for RJ Bishop to go, so nothing really, just battling each other. That was Crystal on cold tires right on the restart, sliding her way through turn 2. And, yeah, just nowhere to go once again for the 48. Just caught up in somebody else's mess once again. Grab another look here. Yeah, that 84 car, just no grip out of the corner there with those rear Goodyears. And RJ, it's once again going to be starting from the bottom of the pack. Oh, boy.
Boy, oh boy, indeed.
Well, it'll be 16 laps to go when we go back through the caution flag. We've ran 36 of the 63 cautions, or laps of the race, under the caution flag. It has been, to put it lightly, a parade here at the Alley Raceway, but it's been fun. When we've had green flag racing, now 37 of the 64 laps have been run under the yellow flag. Those just tuning in here tonight, we welcome you into the final 16 laps of the Miller High Life 100 here at the Alley Raceway in Reading, Pennsylvania. Trey Wright and Caleb Rose here on the North American Sim Racing Network's coverage of the Fuel Sportsman Series. Dunlaprod looking to start off Season 4 of Sportsman, a perfect 2 for 2 for last week's winner at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Trying to snap a 44-day winless streak is Apollo Hyde in that 100 machine. Pace car back down the pit area. 16 laps remain here at the Alley. Remember, the point of no return is 5 laps to go, so at least in the final 5 laps and right off the restart, we got a jam up.
Oh boy.
48 on the 12 around, and is that going to bring out the caution flag? And it is.
Here we go.
So right off of the restart, a big stack up. And you know what's funny, Caleb? You know, we've been, this is on single file restarts, which are typically not as crazy as double file restarts. And still, just with how narrow this track is, not a whole lot of grip anywhere. And, well, it has not been a good night for Blake Warren. But glad to see him after everything that he has been through over the last 48 hours. We realized why he was on the pit lane at Rockingham for a while, was dealing with a lot of kidney stone pain. Fortunately, was able to have those removed yesterday, and he's back in the saddle, fortunately, in that 12th machine, but not a great night for him. Grant Warren, his brother, right now in 6-1 position away from trying to get a top 5 finish. But we'll take a look at what happened just right off of the initial restart for these guys. Just, it all has to do with where the restart zone is really situated. There's the green flag coming out, and I don't know if Rich Roy didn't really go there in the 29 or just going a little too fast through the corner there was the 12, but either way, the result remained the same, and a big stack-up accordion style right off of the initial restart here, back onto the yellow for the 12th caution tonight. This has certainly been a race here tonight, Caleb.
So it certainly has been a race, but it's been fun. We've seen a lot of great battles in this race, a lot of great racing just in general. We've seen a lot of strategy in this race as well, with just how high the tire degradation is and just how valuable track position is. It seems like it's not been the easiest task to pass here tonight, so track position definitely been hot commodity, but all those factors has definitely played into making this quite the interesting race. And starting to get down to the nitty-gritty of it here, inside of 15 laps to go, and I'm starting to run out, so I'm sure the anticipation is definitely going to be rising from here on out as well, so we definitely have a fun last couple laps ahead of us.
Oh, especially once we get down to the point of no return with 5 laps to go. Cautions are going to be turned off. That is going to make things really spicy with no more caution caveats. But then again, you know, we might get this rate. We might get like a legitimate green-white checkered here, based on how long these caution flags have really been flying for a lot of these guys. Based on, you know, how frequent the yellow flag has been coming out, but it's been a really good challenge for these guys. And again, you go back to last week's race at Atlanta, you know, caution-free affair. You know, it wasn't incident-free. We had a couple of single-car spins that, you know, some of them may have been designated as yellow flags, but officially went caution-free last week at Atlanta. I think we're kind of making up for it here tonight with the amount of caution flags. We've had 12 caution flags in 69 laps. Yikes and nice at the same time.
We're going to go back around, I believe, with 11 laps to go here.
We will. So 11 to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's really starting to run dry here. And like you said, once we do get to the point of no return, which is just a couple laps time, and at a track small as this, if they can keep it green, that's going to fly by. So, like I said, I think you might want to grab your popcorn here for these last couple of laps, because this could potentially get wild.
It definitely is. With the final 11 laps at the alley, we're probably only going to get one more caution flag back to the end. But here we go. Green flag back out in the air with 11 laps remaining at the alley. LaPrade leads Hyde. Good a restart for both of those drivers. Edwards up high and around goes the 48. Is that going to be another caution flag?
Yes, it is.
And that might milk us all the way down to that 5 laps to go mark. 13th caution of the night. I believe the majority of this race has officially been ran under the caution flag. It's been an interesting one. We're already about an hour and a half into this stream. We haven't even gotten into the post-race interviews. We're going to be taking this up until midnight. It's Fuel Sportsman After Dark here, essentially. I'd like to thank everybody once again for tuning in, but my goodness, it has certainly been a race of our time.
Certainly has been, like you're talking about. Had the opportunity there for probably about one more caution. We got it. Oh, this restart is as if this finish wasn't already going to get wild. All bets are off once they take the green flag, I believe, this next time by. So, oh boy, this is... We thought this finish was going to be wild. Well, I think we're about to turn that up to 110.
Oh, we definitely are, as it was Bennett and Bishop that got together to bring out our 13th caution flag of the night. Lucky 13th in terms of the yellows here, as nothing RJ could really do. Just another little bit of a love tap, and that's really where things have gone wrong for a lot of these drivers, has been these love taps where, you know, ideally, you should be able to save the car with a little bit of a love tap. With just how the net code works, especially here in the Fuel Racing League, you know, that's just an NR offline or NR online issue in general. You know, you go to online racing nowadays over at iRacing, it's a lot more forgiving with the love taps, and this... The online physics, if I'm not mistaken, Caleb, are still working off of, you know, the base game stuff back in 2003. So a lot less forgiving. They weren't really working as, oh, okay, online is going to be as hyper realistic as it would be. You know, again, this is the 23-year-old game. It's going to be old enough to, you know, rent a car in here in a couple of years. It's old enough to drink. It's old enough to vote. It's old enough to do whatever. It's still kicking, and it's still producing fantastic races like this. A little, you know, if you're not too impartial to stop-and-go races, then this might not exactly be your cup of tea. But, you know, we get down. We're going to get this race restarted with 6 laps to go. Can we get to the end here? Can we get 1 lap to 5 laps to go to finally get us a little bit of a nice run to the end here, Caleb? That's going to be the million-dollar question. Based on how this race has gone, I think we're going to get our 14th caution flag of the night right here off this restart, because, again, it's essentially a 1-lap dash to the point of no return, and that's where just everybody is going to be going for broke. Everybody knows that this is going to be the last lap before all hell can break loose. I think we're going to milk this all the way down to where we're going to get a natural green-white checkered.
I think that could be a real possibility, considering how this race has gone so far. The aggression just continues to ramp up as these laps just keep on ticking down, especially, like you mentioned, just being 1 more lap once we do take the green to a point of no return. Once we do get there, all bets are off. So I'd say, honestly, all bets are off until we get to all bets are off at this point.
Well, here we go. Pace car going through turn number 3, and it has been a fervorous battle between Dunn LaPrade and Apollo Hyde all night long. And, you know, I think this is going to be a really aggressive battle between the 74 and 100 cars right here on the restart. You got Vincenzo Focasato and Emi Schizzato waiting in the wings. But here we go. 1 more lap until the point of no return. Green flag in the air. Can we make it to the final 5 laps? Good restart there for LaPrade. Double file there for 4th on back. Here comes Hyde down to the outside. A little nearly hopping the tires there, going through 2. How about Schizzato? Ike Durbin nearly going around. He's able to save that 86 car, and around Focasato in with the 97. Will that bring out the caution flag? It will not for the time being. And here we are, 5, count 'em, 5 laps to go. We're at the point of no return. It will be a green flag finish to the end, and that is such a tough break for both Focasato and Schizzato. But now the gloves are off for the top 2, and now LaPrade has got a rear view mirror full of that Subaru Express Subaru of Apollo Hyde.
Dunn trying to fend off that 100 car for everything it's worth. Hyde trying to do everything they can to try and find a way around the 74. Meanwhile, backing through here, Kenny Campos now in a podium position, not 17, but he's got a couple cars filling up his rear view mirrors. Grant Warren and Ike Durbin looking to try and chase him down. This is far from over for pretty much about any position on the racetrack as Hyde sends it deep into turn 1.
Oh, she nearly Ross Chastain that Subaru, and that might cost her a little bit. Dunlapron throws the block, but like we're talking about, how about Grant Warren? He was the one that kicked off this 13-lap parade. Big wreck in turn number 2. Focus Auto Bishop, RJ Bishop barrel rolling. We remain green. 3 laps to go. It's absolute anarchy at the alley, but the top 2 still on top of one another like PB&J. And Kenny Campos starting to pull away a little bit in that 17. Still, things are far from over here at the alleyway. We'll get 2 laps to go this next time by. And LePron beginning to put a little bit of distance between himself and the 100. What a stretch Dunlapron has had over this last month or so. 2 laps to go, sticks high in the air at the Alley Raceway. It has been a great race so far. It has been a great last couple of laps so far. That's Chester's Family Market. Chevy Monte Carlo looking mightily sexy out there in front of that 100 machine, but Hyde not done yet. RJ Bishop is not going to be a problem car in terms of lap traffic. Lap and a half to go here at the Alley. Hyde not able to put the hammer down going into turn number 4. She'll have 3/4 of a mile to try to get one more shot at that 74. White flag in the air. One more time around the Alley Raceway. Paulo Hyde racing at her hometown creation in that 100 machine. She's going to force it, trying to stuff it into turn number 2. She's going to have 2 more chances through the right-hander for the final time tonight. LaPrade trying to block all covers. It's all going to come down to turn number 4. Hyde is not going to be able to get there in time. Trying to get the drive off of the corner. She won't be able to. How about 2 in a row for Don LaPrade? He wins a wild one here at the Alley. And the battle for third off turn number 4, Kenny Campos with his first podium of the season. If I'm not mistaken, that's his first ever podium in that 17 machine. What a battle for the race win. What a battle for third. And what a race. 13 cautions going on the board. And Caleb, I might need a Miller High Life after this race. What a race and what a drive for Dunlapron. Leads 66 laps on the night, en route to his 2nd consecutive win here in the Fuel Sportsman Series.
That is domination if I've ever seen it there from the 74 of Dunlapron. What a race here tonight as they're stacking them up there on the entrance of pit lane. I think just about everybody might need a really don't want to mention that, but hey, shout out to the 74 Dunlapron. Drove a great race, and despite a big challenge there towards the end from the 100 of Apollo Hyde, managed to hang on and secure his 2nd win in a row. And potentially pull a Tyler Reddick here. Have to see if he can maybe go 3 for 3. You'll have to see, but definitely off to a very strong start of the season is Dunlapron. Definitely have to give credit, though, to Apollo Hyde as well. Also drove a great race. Everything but the kitchen sink there at LaPrade there in the closing laps. And saw, of course, Hyde go around earlier on in the race. Managed to claw her way back into the winning conversation. It's a great run overall for that 100 car. And Kenny Campos as well. What a race for him. Drove a fantastic race out there tonight and managed to hold on to a podium position there in the closing laps. I am very excited to see what he's got to say on this post-race interview. He's definitely going to be very happy about that finish, but also sure that Dunlapron is going to be very happy about that performance as well, as he burns it down just about the whole length of the front straightaway.
He is doing a John Force-style burnout here at the Alley.
He's still going. Oh, he just blew the rear tires out. Oh, you don't need those anymore. It's fine.
You know, if I'm not mistaken, he was the only car out on track tonight that didn't get caught up in an incident. I don't know, did Kenny have a clean race? He might have.
He might have, yeah.
I think I'm trying to think if he got caught up in anything, but pretty much everybody else was caught up in some sort of incident. You know, RJ Bishop, I think he gets the award for getting caught up in the most crap here tonight. RJ finally spun out that 74. He's trying to get it back around. He's trying to go the full length here of the track. You know what? You go around here for as many caution laps as we had here tonight. He's just trying to give the fans one last, a little bit of a parade lap here with a little bit more smoke than they're accustomed to. He's going to go until the server ends.
I have to see if the motor allows it.
I'm surprised it's had so far.
No, I think there it goes.
Oh.
I think there it went. Oh,
The
no,
commentators
the
curse
final
striking right there and then.
corner. Whoops.
Oh my Lord. Well, I think there's no better way than that to end things off here at tonight's coverage of the Fuel Sportsman Series. And what a race. Here tonight, we'll go through your top end of the order before our post-race interviews. Dunlapron leads 66 laps on the evening with Apollo Hyde 0.3 of a second back off of the 74 car. For second, and Kenny Campos rounds out the top three here. As you'll hear from Campos, Hyde, and LaPrade in just a couple of moments. Grant Warren, great top five finish for him after everything he went through tonight. And Ike Durbin rounds out the top five. Crystal Bennett, Keon Daly, Rich Roy, Vincenzo Focusato, and Connor Edwards rounding out the top 10. Blake Warren, Emmy Schizzato, and R.J. Bishop, the lone car a lap down throughout this entire race, rounds out the 13-car grid here tonight at the Alley Raceway. Caleb, your initial thoughts after a wild 13 caution parade here at the Alley. Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. I think wild might definitely be a bit of an understatement. That was definitely quite the race for all the right and some wrong reasons as well. It was definitely quite chaotic. I think we ended on 13, 14 cautions, I think.
13, exactly.
13 cautions. Definitely a pretty high number there, but hey, that was definitely, still regardless, a very, very fun race. Like I said, saw a lot of great battles out there on the racetrack, a lot of great racing in general. The overall shape and complexity of the track definitely made for some very interesting and technical racing. And of course, the strategy as well was definitely very fascinating to watch, with everybody kind of just venturing off onto different tire strategies, with just how much this track ate them up. And definitely made for some very interesting stuff there in that regard as well. But overall, just a very, very interesting and fun race here tonight. And I'm sure it's definitely going to go down quite famously in the history books here of the Fuel Sportsman Series. But definitely a very, very fun night here in the alleyway.
Well, it definitely was, and we'll talk with our podium finishers here in just a couple of moments after a wild race in the Miller High Life 100. Dunlapron dominates here tonight. He's your winner of the Miller High Life 100. We'll be back here in just a couple of moments with the post-race interviews.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me double shot is out.
A fantastic race at the Alley Raceway has concluded as Dunlapron taking care of business in the Miller High Life 100. here tonight for race number 2 of the Fuel Sportsman Series, season number 4. Here tonight on the North American Sim Racing Network, Trey Wright and Caleb Rose on the calls. We bring you into our post-race show. Bring you into our post-race interviews here in just 1 second. Starting off hot here with a driver with his first career podium. Driver of the number 17, Tim Flock, NASCAR 50th anniversary throwback car. First career podium for this man, Kenny Campos. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Yes, I do.
Well, I
Yes,
know
I do.
that you were absolutely excited to come to this track. You've been really improving over the last couple months you've been here in the Sportsman Series, and it finally pays off with a hard-fought third-place finish for you tonight. But, coming into this race, coming into how narrow of a track this is, it's a very technical track, and you're still learning a lot here at this level, especially over on the open setup side of things, but here on the closed setup, what were your thoughts coming into this race initially?
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't think I was even going to get a podium, especially where I qualified and like speed. But the moment I started to get on the restarts, like just passing on the inside, that was pretty much an advantage, at least after the line. I just didn't think I would finish on the podium. I thought I'd make a mistake, and then I would have lost it.
Yeah, well, you absolutely ran a great race here. I believe you were one of 2 cars that weren't involved in anything major here tonight, but it really seemed like that tonight was just a lot of a stop-and-go bumper cars where you just give one person a little bit of a chrome horn, they accidentally go around. But in a marathon race like this, what does it take as a driver to just keep yourself calm, cool, and collected and trying to fend off all the competition behind you?
Well, as that, but also having the stamina enough and hopefully being well. And during this whole race, I have been sick this whole morning, this whole day. So, and I didn't think I would do well. I thought I would fatigue myself out of the race. But overall, you would have to just not only be physically well or anything like that. You just have to just hope for the best that you finish if that's all you're gonna do.
Well, you finished really well here tonight, but, looking over the next couple slates here, you go to another flat track next week with Nazareth, and looking over the rest of the schedule and over on the Grand National side of things, what are you really looking forward to over these next couple of weeks, and have you really progressed here talent-wise over these last couple of weeks as well?
I would say a good amount. I mean, it takes a while. I'm still improving. I wouldn't say I've 100% made it. I probably will if I would say if I get the win like on a hard track, maybe like Nazareth. But it takes time to like exercise your mind and exercise your racing skill just to like mostly finish. For me, it was originally just I wanted to win the race, but then I said to change that to finish the race because I probably wasn't going to be there that early on. So I just finish it all, and then it'll all be good for everyone, especially without trying to cause too many accidents.
Well, you were running clean and green here tonight to a nice third-place finish. Caleb, you got anything for our third-place finisher here tonight?
I'll definitely have to say that was quite the performance, quite the race that did, and I definitely have to give you a lot of credit for that run, especially considering what you're going through. And a third place finish, that is absolutely awesome. And really happy that you finished on the podium. Really nice to talk to you, man. So
Yeah, thank you so
congratulations,
much.
and hope you can maybe continue that momentum as we head in these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, it's gonna be a while. Maybe one of these days I might win it, whether it be in Grand National Sportsman. But who knows? Time will only tell.
Well, you've definitely been improving a lot here over these last couple of months, and you finally, hey, you know what? You popped your cherry in terms of getting on the podium, so first and foremost, congratulations for that. And, what we typically do here with the podium drivers, I know you're still feeling a little bit under the weather, so we'll give you the floor as much time as you want here. If you want to shout out any sponsors, you want to thank anybody here on the NASRN. First-time podium finisher for Kenny Campos. The floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, well, first off, Apollo, I want to thank for hosting the series. I've been in this league for God knows how long. I kind of forgot. But thank you for also hosting this, this mod, like this whole series as a whole, because I think this is truly where I'm improving my craft overall compared to National Series. But also, shout out to most of my racing friends online, who probably I might send after this to see and say thank you so much for giving me confidence and having fun as always.
Well, we had a lot of fun here tonight. We had a lot of fun calling you home for a third-place run. Kenny, congratulations on finally getting up to the podium, and we'll see if you're able to get a little bit more next week here at Nazareth with another flat, technical, and fun track.
Yeah, thank you so much. And good night, everyone.
See you, Kenny.
User was moved out of your
That was
channel.
Kenny Campos, driver of the number 17, Tim Flock, Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Your third place finisher here tonight. Nothing like getting your first career podium, especially here on the NASCAR.
User was moved
We bring
to your
in the
channel.
driver of the number 100 Subaru Apollo Hyde. Another really good cat and mouse race between you and Dunlaprat here tonight. And once again, just on the other end of the spectrum, just take us through, coming into this race as a designer of this track. What does this track really mean to you, going back to the golden days of NASCAR Stop-Motion, and then coming into tonight and putting it on the Sportsman schedule?
Oh man, it just brings me a great smile that I'm actually able to do a real race on this track, because this is a video that I've been watching since I've been in middle school. The Miller High Life 400. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do so. It's a classic NASCAR stop motion. One of the coolest videos out there. And I always wonder to myself, what would this track look like if it was actually in NASCAR? And we definitely got a good taste of that tonight. And I think that, yeah, we definitely had a lot of incidents tonight, but that was to be expected. It's a very narrow, tight, bullring type racetrack. Nowhere to really run. We gave each other as much room as we could, but we were kind of still running into each other quite a bit. But that's definitely the name of the game here. It's very ground and pound. And yeah, I'm just happy to come out of the race relatively incident free.
Yeah, of course, you were able to recover from the fifth accident of the night, getting tangled up there with a restart with Blake Warren, and able to recover up to a second place finish, your second consecutive second place finish here to start the season. But overall, you're looking ahead to the rest of the season schedule. We talked about it a little bit last week with how diverse these tracks are. We're going to Nazareth next week, and we're taking a 3-week break off from broadcasting. So going over the next 3 races we've got here on the Fuel Sportsman Series, and what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, all 3 of these tracks I'm really looking forward to. Of course, Nazareth being a track that is less than an hour away from where I grew up. So this isn't unfortunately, it's not a track I was ever able to go out to see a race at, but with it being a big time NASCAR racetrack, I've been wanting to do a race here for quite a while, and I felt like this was a really good time to do that. Charlotte was one of the best races last year. That's just going to be a remarkable race if it's anything like it was last year. We had a good 7 or 8 different people that could have won that race. And the Fuji Speedway is just a classic road course over in Japan. In my opinion, it's the best track over there. Maybe the second best track. It depends on what you think about Sportsman Sugo. Sugo is so awesome as well, but Fuji is my favorite track over there, and I can't wait to go there as well. So these are 3 tracks that I certainly enjoy quite a bit. The 3 tracks after that are tracks that were voted in by all the racers, and they are tracks that I'm not necessarily as much of a fan of. But these 3, I can't wait.
We definitely are going to have a great you guys are going to have a blast here over these next couple of weeks, and wish we could cover it, but overall we're going to be covering 4 more races this season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Glad to have just a lot of action here with the Sportsman level. But talking about a third place finish here tonight, Kenny Campos. you've been one of the guys that's really, you've taken him under your wing a little bit here over these last couple of months, and getting his first career third place finish here tonight. What can you really say about his development here over these last couple of months? Coming.
Yeah, it's definitely he's definitely gotten a lot better, especially here at Sportsman. Now, over in GNS, there's still some issues with developing setups and whatnot, but that's an entirely different learning curve. Just over here on the Sportsman side, I mean, he was running up with us with the leaders at Atlanta as well before, unfortunately, some pit road stuff happened with him and he fell back. So he's had really good speed in back-to-back races here, and I hope that he keeps it up. I love seeing new contenders rising up from the ashes and breaking rake and showing progress and racing development. And Kenny's doing a really bang-up job. I'm really proud of him, actually, getting this third place at a track that is just really difficult. This was not an easy track at all. Even with the tires, good. Thank God for Goodyear bringing an amazing compound for us to race on. We didn't have a lot of fall off, and the tires heated up really nice. So we definitely had really good tires. It helps because, man, this track is a handful. I'm glad we didn't have to worry about falling off 3 seconds a lap as well.
Definitely not, and you guys just put together a really fun show here tonight. Would have been fun to see the tire fall off on some of these long runs, but hey, you know what? Now that everybody knows the track, if it's back on the schedule for next year for Sportsman, or hey, even if we come here with the Grand National cars, eventually that'll be a ton of fun. But Caleb, you got anything for our runner-up finisher here tonight?
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with Trey. That was definitely quite the fun showing here tonight from the alley. Definitely have to give you a lot of credit, of course, for putting the series on and for making this track as well. Definitely quite the unique track, which is how narrow it is and how small it is. But I put on a very, very interesting and fun show here tonight with all the factors and everything. So definitely have to congratulate you on just putting this event on in general, but also have to congratulate you on a good run there. Coming home in the second position, you gave great John there to done the prod, even after bit of shortcomings earlier on in the race, like getting into it there with the 12 of Blake Warren. But overall, fantastic run out there tonight, and really great stuff.
Yeah, I'm just happy to, like I said, I'm just happy to have survived the race relatively incident-free. The only thing that really happened was that little bit of contact there with Blake, which we were able to recover from pretty quick.
We definitely recovered really well and able to get a nice second place finish here tonight. But Apollo, you know the drill by now. We'll give you as much time as you want to. Thank any sponsors. Shout out anybody here on the NASRN. Another second place finisher for you here tonight. The floor is yours.
Yeah, no real shout outs this time around. Some things will be coming up in the near future, but no shout outs yet this time around. Just come race with us Wednesday, Friday nights. Wednesday night is GNS. That's our open setup league. That's where our big races are, and our fun nights here on Friday night, where we get to race just some goofy tracks sometimes, and this is certainly one of the goofier entries. Our second race on the Sportsman calendar usually has a very unique track. Last year, it was the Red Rock Valley from Gran Turismo 2. That was a blast. I would love to see that track back on the schedule one of these times, but not this year. So, yeah, just come race with us for Fuel GNS on Wednesday nights, Fuel Sportsman on Friday nights. Love to see you there.
We definitely love to see all that action here on the NASRN. You can find all that action here on the NASRN. And again, link for the Discord down in the description box below. But Paulo, it's always a pleasure talking to you after these races, especially these Sportsman Slugfests. We'll see you Wednesday night at Cayuga for the Fuel Grand National as a second foray on dirt this season. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks here after the race at Albuquerque here, our next broadcast of the Fuel Sportsman series. But good luck over these next three races.
We'll do our best.
User was moved out of
That was
your
Apollo
channel.
High, driver of the number 100 Subaru Factory Subaru. Second place finisher here tonight after a slugfest at the alley. It's time to bring in the man of the hour.
User was
Driver
moved to your
that
channel.
absolutely dominated the race here tonight. was the Pied Piper of a little bit of a parade here, but driving the number 74, Chester's family Marcus Chevy Monte Carlo. Don LaPrade, you got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Yep.
Well, couldn't ask for a better start to your season here in Sportsman, going 2 for 2 with you're going back to last week's race at Atlanta. You won that race in dramatic fashion. A little bit less dramatic here this week, dominating the race, leading 66 of the 80 laps, but coming into a flat track like this where you know there's going to be nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, you know that it's going to be a little bit of a parade with the cautions. Walk us through your approach coming into this race.
Just keep the wheels straight. Just try to get up to the lead and stay there for as long as I can, and hope it all works out.
Well, it definitely worked out for you guys here tonight with a really good run, but you and Apollo have been on top of one another over these last couple of weeks. You guys have had your run-ins in the Grand National Series. You guys have been running really well together here in the Sportsman level as well. What do you think you really have as an advantage up your sleeve over Apollo, especially in this fixed setup league?
I don't know, honestly. Probably experience, maybe. That's the only thing I could think of. But I think Apollo and I are on the same level talent-wise. So it's hard to say who really has the advantage. I mean, he and I have been finishing 1 and 2 so much. I don't even know how many times it's been already, but it feels like it's been a lot already. So yeah, just just remain focused, just keep the wheels straight, just stay in the lead, and then like I said, hope everything works out. But then again, you got many other drivers out there, not just me and Apollo, but you got Grant, Blake, Warren, Kenny Campos, Vincenzo Fotosato, Ike Durbin, Rich Roy, Crystal Bennett, R.J. Bishop, Keon Daly, Tyler Stallhood, all of them. So it's really anyone's game in this league.
It definitely is, especially on these Friday night Sportsman forays. And you've been really, really kicking butt and taking names here in a relatively dramatic fashion. But 2 for 2 to start the season. Looking ahead to Nazareth in these next 3 weeks, while we've got a little bit of an off break for us NASRN coverage-wise. You've got 3 really unique tracks coming up these next 3 weeks for Sportsman. You've got Nazareth next week. You've got Charlotte the week after that. And then we go across the pond to Fuji. What are you really looking forward to over these next 3 weeks track-wise? And do you think you're going to be able to keep this streak going up to 3, Tyler Reddick style?
I don't know about that, but I know that I feel good about Nazareth, Charlotte, and Fuji is an interesting one. Never raced on that track before, so it's gonna be very interesting to see how how the racing goes there. Yeah, I mean it's you got a good mix of tracks on the schedule coming up, so and it should be very interesting. Should be very exciting and a bit of a wild card for quite a bit of these tracks on the schedule as well. So.
Well, it will be fun. It's going to be fun for you guys. And, hey, you know what? We wish we could broadcast with you guys over these next 3 weeks. But you guys are going to have a blast, and we'll pick you guys back up going into Albuquerque for race number 5. But race number 6, I should say. But, Caleb, you got anything else for our winner here tonight on a late one? We're approaching midnight Eastern time. I think we're all a little bit tired. But anything before we get out of Dodge here?
Well, definitely have to say, that was quite the long race, quite the late night, but that was definitely a very, very fun race and a fantastic performance out of you. I'm pretty sure Trey said you led 66 out of the 80 laps. Considering just how crazy that race was, that's absolute domination there by you. And even after a late charge from the under Apollo High, managed to hold your ground, keep the lead, and pull off a fantastic win. That burnout that you did there after winning the race was absolutely sick. So, a great run out there tonight, my man, and wish you nothing but the best of luck heading into next week, and keeping the fingers crossed you can maybe go out there and pull yourself a Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, maybe. Maybe it'll happen, but I mean, like I said, anything can happen in this particular series. So, you know, yeah, it was a kind of a very kind of a simple night for the most part. And then just try to keep, like I said, keep my composure and whatnot. And then those final 6 laps, I just decided to do it again. Just mute my headset, throw it on my bed beside me, and not have to worry about any distraction. Just 6 laps of, no noise, just, hit your marks and all that. So worked out all right. Probably not the brightest idea. I don't recommend anyone for doing it, but it helps me sometimes in these clutch situations. So
Well, it definitely showed here tonight. Dominated the race here this evening, and you know what? Just putting your blinders on, nothing wrong with that, and just putting yourself all the way to victory. But Dunn, you know the score by now. We'll give you the floor to thank anybody you want. If there's any sponsors you want to shout out here on the NASCAR Airwaves. Our winner, second race in a row here in the Fuel Sportsman Series. Dunn LaPrade, the floor is yours again, my man.
well, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to you and Caleb for broadcasting the race, and shout out to everyone watching at home. Shout out to Tyler Stallhood for the league. Shout out to Apollo Hyde for the series. Shout out to all the men and women who raced here tonight. It was always a pleasure to race against all these individuals on Friday nights and Wednesday nights as well, and anywhere else that I may see them. Shout out to Team EFR, and shout out to everyone else for making me a better driver.
Well, it was certainly a class of the field here tonight, and you were at the top end of that. But congratulations to you tonight, Dunn, on a dominating win here at the Alley, and we'll see you on Wednesday night for Fuel Grand National at Cayuga.
Yep, thank you all.
User was moved out of
That was
your
Dunn
channel.
LaPrade, driver of the number 74 Chester's Family Market Chevy Monte Carlo, your winner of the Miller High Life 100 here at the Alley Raceway, and that will pretty much do it here for tonight's broadcast of the Fuel Sportsman Series. After a fun one, a little bit of a stop and go, 13 cautions going on the board, but the Fuel Sportsman Series always puts on a fantastic show. And Caleb, your final thoughts here before we'll finally get out of Dodge. I know it's late over in Kentucky, it's late here in New Jersey, but before we go, your final thoughts.
Yeah, like I said, that was a very interesting but overall very fun race here from the Alley. Like I said, had a lot of great battles pretty much all throughout the night, especially under the green flag conditions. And like I said, a lot of great strategy in this race. We did have all the cautions and everything, but we did see a lot of varying strategy. We saw the tire wear a little bit in action. Like I said, it would definitely have been nice to see the course of that over a longer run, but still definitely saw it come into play. And overall, a very interesting but fun race. I'd definitely like to see this track back now that everybody has kind of got the gist of everything, but we'll have to see if it does end up returning. But definitely look forward to seeing some more of this. Overall, a very fun night, and definitely a very, very fun race.
Was it always a different? It's always a definitely very fun race. I can't even English properly. I've been up for about 18 hours, so I'm ready to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I know you're ready to go to bed as well. Before we'll get things going here, we'll once again do a top down of the 13 cars that were all on the grid here this evening. Dunn LaPrade leads 66 laps en route to his second win of the season. 3/10 of a second over Apollo Hyde, who finishes in second. Third was Kenny Campos. Another big congratulations to him for getting his first career podium win here in the Fuel Sportsman League, or the Fuel Sportsman Series, as well as the Fuel Racing League in general. Grant Warren, a good top 5 finish for him, and Ike Durbin finished in 5th, with Grant Warren finishing in 4th. Crystal Bennett was 6th. Keon Daly finished in 7th. Rich Roy finished in 8th. Vincenzo Focusato fell down to 9th. And Connor Edwards, a good top 10 run for him in the O2, rounds out the top 10. Blake Warren finished 11th. Emmy Schizato was 12th. And RJ Bishop finished in the 13th spot. That's going to do it here from the Alley Raceway. Congratulations once again to Don LeBron for winning the Miller High Life 100. Wednesday night, we're back on the dirt for Fuel Grand National. Race number 9 of the season from Cayuga, the Land of Legends Raceway, airs Wednesday night at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time. We're back with a Sportsman Series on Friday, May 1st. It's our only race here in the month of April, our only broadcast on the month of April here for the Sportsman Series for the Albuquerque 100 at the Albuquerque Speedway. That's going to be taking place on May 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on May Day, right here on your home for the Fuel Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. So that's going to do it here once again for tonight's broadcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in to tonight's coverage of the Fuel Sportsman Series. And from Reading, Pennsylvania, on behalf of Caleb Rose, Apollo Hyde, Tyler Stolhood, the entire Fuel Racing League, and the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a good evening, folks. We'll see you Wednesday night at Cayuga for Fuel GNS.